I've written before and published about churches, liturgy, music, church music, violins, electronics, my disabled buggy, various things. But this is quite different. This is a passionate video to catch the attention of somebody out there, preferably in government, who can do something about it. I've got one idea. Makes me so cross. I can't get anyone to hear me. Now, I'm not a political animal, but I've been annoyed for a few months now, reading reports of people smugglers in the English Channel, and yet impotent in my attempts to be heard by those who can change the situation. Let me declare my colours from the outset. I'm an elderly organist and reader emeritus at Nid Church in the Anglican Diocese of Leeds. I have Parkinson's and am aware one of the possible characteristics of this condition is obsessive behaviour, which focuses on one aspect or feature to an exaggerated extent. If you find I'm over the top on this, I do apologise. I mean what I say fervently, in the hope that somebody will hear and act. Above all, I try to be a Christian. My concern is a moral one, that a group of people, potential immigrants, whom I am bound to love in a biblical sense, whether or not I like them or want them here, should be exploited by criminals providing small boats for the channel crossing. And more than that, much more than that, though we have the means to stop it, we choose not to. Though we have the means to stop it, we choose not to. That surely puts us well and truly on the side of the baddies, aiding and abetting their foul and greedy trade in exploiting human suffering. If a Christian does not speak out against unchristian behaviour, surely he supports them. Silence is not an option. Black or white, no shades of grey. I've offered these thoughts to Yvette Cooper before Labour's victory last summer and her appointment as Home Secretary. She didn't reply. I've since sent them to the Home Office, who did reply, from a civil service group I think called the Migration and Borders Group, which dismissed my ideas in one short sentence before providing me with a long scripted explanation of how increased resources will be brought to bear on the problem of the boat smugglers. I've even offered them to the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Reeves, to help her save a few £1 million annually, but she hasn't replied either. I continue to watch this thread in Letters to the Times, but neither of my offerings to date has been published. I have today, 4th of March, emailed more widely. This includes Sir Keir Starmer, Prime Minister, my MP Tom Gordon, and the Right Reverend Nick Baines, Bishop of Leeds. He is one of the 26 Lords Spiritual with a seat in the House of Lords. I would have sent it to the recently resigned Archbishop of Canterbury, as he said way back that the immoral Rwanda deportations would shame Britain. Instead, I've sent it to the Archbishop of York, the Most Reverend Stephen Cottrell. Of these 4 people recently emailed, I've had official acknowledgements from 2, 1 remains silent. Only 1 has answered. What is my solution to stop this immoral trafficking of migrants is so simple. Perhaps it's too simple. Why not provide a safe and easy free passage across the English Channel. Imagine for a moment that HM Government chartered a ferry every 24 or 48 hours to bring potential migrants safely from Calais to Dover at no cost to themselves. The smugglers would be out of business overnight because no one would need them. What migrant would choose an overcrowded open rubber boat with its risks and costs of £2,000+ per person compared to a comfortable, safe, predictable and free ferry? Typical daily numbers of migrants crossing the Channel presently range from 0 to 2,000 depending largely on the weather. Usually it's about 200 to 300 a day. Today's news reports, 3rd of March, suggest numbers approaching the record in 2022 with over 36,000 in the last full year. From the 1st of January to 10th of February this year, 1,554 people had crossed the Channel. 78 people lost their lives in 2024. That is 225 since 2018. How many £1 million are spent each year trying to stop the boats? The Mayor of Calais is reported yesterday as calling on our government to spend even more to rid Calais of the foul camps used by hundreds of migrants awaiting boat crossings. Official figures do exist, but the total cost must be millions each year. And even when smugglers are caught, prosecuted, convicted, appealed and imprisoned, all at our expense, for every criminal removed from the scene, 5 more will be waiting in the wings to take over the vile trade, and it will continue in spite of all we do. More than that, since most migrants pay their passage to the smugglers after arrival, how many will have to work off their debt in a form of modern slavery once they're here? Even if their families have funded their passage, it has to be repaid. As I understand it, a migrant awaiting adjudication is barred from legal work and benefits. Let me bring that down to a personal level now. Are you prepared to stand at Dover, looking into each face and hang labels round the necks as each person walks ashore? And these labels will say car wash, nail bar, drug mule, prostitute. Because that is precisely what is being done in your name and my name now, and the shame is ours. Do you remember what Jesus said to the crowd about to stone the woman taken in adultery? The present government lays much store in tightening legislation and publicising the fact that failed asylum seekers entering the UK illegally will rarely be granted UK citizenship even after 10 years. In the words of Catherine Tate, am I bothered if I am one of the 17,316 of all migrants, not just boat people, all migrants, who went missing in the year up to November 2023 before their decision could be enforced? And if on the 2-hour passage from Calais to Dover some immigration officers working on board made a preliminary examination of documents, some potential migrants might be returned without stepping onto British soil at all. Yes, this does mean perhaps numbers seeking asylum would increase, and certainly more and better skilled civil servants would be needed to expedite adjudication. The whole process were completed within 90 days of arrival instead of typically 6 to 21 months at present, accommodation costs would be reduced dramatically. Surely, we should not rely on criminality to regulate numbers crossing the Channel. The whole matter troubles me greatly, and I do urge you to consider my solution. I'd appreciate your help in promoting my idea to as wide an audience as possible, assuming that you agree with it. But if it is nonsense, please tell me why. Just before I started to record this, I got one email back from my last 4 I tried. From the Bishop of Leeds, to my delight, replied within 2 hours of receiving my email, saying that the Lord Spiritual have been urging the past and present governments to provide safe and easy access. He ends by saying, "You are right, it would kill the criminal trade in one go. We keep trying to get the government to see this, but like the last lot, they choose not to listen. This is a matter of choice. You could kill this trade overnight, but we choose not to. We choose not to. Surely a most unchristian way to behave, and immoral. We choose not to. We choose to let the criminals continue. I can't live with that. Can you?"